found sports.
I found my passion.
I found family.
I found my calling. I found a place to call home. Discover what you can find at Marietta by visiting marietta.edu today.
Coming up today on NewsCenter 15, Texas experiences more destructive flooding.
And eBay follows a lawsuit against Amazon.
We've got these stories and more. NewsCenter 15 starts now. Good afternoon. You're watching WCMO TV on Channel 15. I'm Riley Wall.
And I'm George Riffle.
Topping our news this afternoon. A continued threat of flooding is forecast in parts of central Texas as more rain is expected in the area and dams along the swollen Colorado River release water downstream, officials said Wednesday. The National Weather Service said the already saturated area was expected to get an additional 1 to 2 inches of rain Thursday and Friday, with some isolated areas getting as much as 4 inches of rain. The bodies of 2 people were found this week as the area was inundated with rains. The flooding caused property to be destroyed and many people to go missing. Llano County Emergency Management Coordinator Ron Anderson said Wednesday that while the Llano River had gone down after cresting on Tuesday, he cautioned that there was still a threat of more rain and other hazards were present after the floods.
eBay filed a lawsuit against Amazon Wednesday, saying the online retail giant used eBay's messaging system to steal its sellers. In the lawsuit, eBay said Amazon representatives signed up for eBay accounts and messaged sellers to get them to sell their goods on Amazon.com, which eBay said violated its user agreement. According to the complaint, Amazon representatives spelled out their email addresses and asked eBay sellers to talk on the phone in order to evade detection. eBay called it an orchestrated, coordinated, worldwide campaign to illegally lure eBay sellers to sell on Amazon. Amazon declined to comment on the lawsuit.
Well, it certainly was chilly this morning.
Ethan Brown has our first look at the weather.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it definitely was a little bit chilly out there today, but thankfully it was a little bit sunny, so we did have that, and that's something that you can expect to look forward to throughout the rest of the day. You can see that the sun is going to be out for the majority of the day, so there'll be some bright patches in there, but the wind itself and the way that the chill feels, it's just going to be rather cool. We'll experience a high of 53 degrees today, and then in the evening it'll drop to a low of about 31 degrees, so it'll be below freezing, but it'll still be pretty cool. And yeah, so you'll just want to be prepared for that, bundle up a little bit, and just enjoy the patches of sunlight that we get to try and keep warm out there, as it's going to be a little chilly today. Coming up in a few minutes, I'll have a closer look at the 5-day forecast, so you'll know what's going on this weekend. Until then, back to you guys.
A Minnesota Democratic candidate for Congress, who is poised to become the first Somali American elected to the U.S. House, has denounced claims that she married her brother and committed immigration fraud as, quote, disgusting lies, unquote, and says allegations of campaign finance violations are politically motivated. Ilhan Omar, who is running in Minnesota's liberal 5th District, continues to be dogged by conservatives who have raised questions about her past. As the election approaches, the attacks are intensifying. Last week, Minnesota Republicans in the 5th District began a digital billboard campaign and launched a website that highlights the allegations, many of which were first raised by conservative media outlets in 2016 as Omar was running for her seat in the Minnesota legislature. Omar broadly denied the allegations in a statement to the Associated Press, but declined to provide documents or answer specific questions when pressed.
A man convicted of torching a South Texas mosque last year has been sentenced to more than 24 years in prison. Mark DeVincent Perez was sentenced Wednesday during a court hearing in Victoria, Texas in July. A jury convicted Perez of federal arson, explosives, and hate crime charges. Mark DiCarlo, Perez's defense attorney, says his client is disappointed in his lengthy sentence and will appeal his conviction. At his trial, prosecutors said that a rabid hatred of Muslims led Perez to set fire to an Islamic center in Victoria, destroying the building. DiCarlo disputed the prosecutor's claims, saying the allegations of Perez's religious bias was not established beyond reasonable doubt.
When WCMO returns, we'll have our most unbelievable story of the season.
We'll be right back.
I never chew tobacco.
I don't drink much.
Never smoked a cigarette in my life.
HPV. Isn't that about cervical cancer?
What does that have to do with oral cancer?
HPV? Didn't know that.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
With peak foliage set for late October in the Marietta area, colorful leaves will soon be in yards more than trees, ready for disposal. Leaf pickup options remain the same this year for residents of the city, said Jonathan Hupp, Safety Service Director. That includes a change last year that eliminated the bag leaf drop-off sites around the city. However, the truck picking up leaves raked to the curb will still be making its rounds. Hupp urges those raking their leaves not to sweep them into the streets, as that clogs the city drainage system. Near the curbs, vacuum trucks can more easily dispose of them.
Equipment failure was blamed by AEP Ohio for a 2-hour electric failure Monday that shut down businesses, snarled traffic, and left Marietta in the dark at midday on a cloudy, rainy fall day. Jessica Wright, a media spokeswoman for AEP, said a piece of equipment failed in a power station inside Marietta, leaving 8,000 customers without electricity for an hour and a half from approximately noon to 1:20 p.m. The outage encompassed most of Marietta, but the southern Norwood neighborhood and businesses at the east end of Pike Street were not affected. Portions of the county from Devola to Marksburg were also affected by the outage, she said.
Blue Rock Station and the Green Sanctuary Committee of the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Marietta will offer a 3-hour class on how to build a small solar generator from 1 to 4 p.m. October 27th in the Social Hall of the church at 232 3rd Street, Marietta. Cost of the class is $65 and includes a textbook. Materials to build the generator cost less than $200 and can be purchased at most large hardware stores. Reservations are required. The class is capped at 15 students.
St. John the Baptist Catholic Women's Club is having an all-you-can-eat pancake and sausage breakfast from 8 to 11:30 a.m. October 28th at the KFC Hall in Churchtown. St. John cooks books, and those will be available. The cost is $7 for adults and $3 for children, and $20 for a family.
Coming up, Ethan is looking to gain more votes. Joe Manchin is looking to gain more votes for the upcoming election.
We'll have this story and more after the break.
And after I'm done getting votes for the election, I'll be back to give a little look at the 5-day forecast. So stick around and we'll find out what the weekend will feel like.
November is No Shaver Month at City of Hope. That means, throughout November, to raise awareness about prostate cancer, City of Hope is urging men to stop shaving and get screened. But here's my problem. When I grow out my beard, I end up like this. I mean, have you ever? And you know how long this took me? What do I have? A couple of little hairs here? I mean, man, it's useless. How about this? How about this? Very Lincoln-esque, don't you think? How about this? Oh, you put them. Well, that's not the way I heard it. For all you men watching, do what I can't. Let your beards grow. And while you're at it, get screened. No shaver with City of Hope. Grow it, show it, know it.
U.S. Senator Joe Manchin, facing a tough re-election in 3 weeks, has co-written a series of op-ed pieces with Republican senators in an effort to demonstrate his bipartisan chops. The West Virginia Democrat's views have appeared from time to time in newspapers, particularly in his home state, but perhaps not in as rapid fashion as this. The 5 opinion pieces appeared in West Virginia newspapers over the past week and focus on the Affordable Care Act, along with energy and national security, veterans issues, and the opioid epidemic. Manchin co-wrote them with Republican Senators Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Murkowski, and Dan Sullivan of Alaska, Johnny Isakson of Georgia, and Marco Rubio of Florida. Manchin is running against Republican candidate Patrick Morrisey, and Election Day is November 6th.
Months after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that government workers can't be required to contribute to labor unions representing them, a group that helped successfully argue that case has filed 2 related federal lawsuits on behalf of some government employees in Ohio. The National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation says they're aimed at enforcing public employees' rights under the ruling. One lawsuit seeks repayment of fees collected from non-union workers, and the other challenges a union policy limiting when employees can opt out of paying dues.
A man accused of fatally stabbing and shooting his future mother-in-law 5 days before he was supposed to marry her daughter pleaded no contest Wednesday in her death. Jeffrey Scullin Jr., 21, shot Melinda Pleskovic 3 times and stabbed her more than 30 times last October inside the home where he lived with his fiance's family, prosecutors said. He pleaded no contest to aggravated murder and other charges Wednesday in Pleskovic's death. The plea came in as Scullin was set to go on trial a day after a judge ruled against throwing out his confession. Today in entertainment news, Nicole Kidman has a new thriller. Peter Jackson is wowing audiences, and Taylor Swift is talking politics again.
Here's John Powers with the Hollywood Minute.
Here's your first look at barely recognizable Nicole Kidman in Destroyer as a police detective, haunted by a long-ago undercover assignment, Destroyer. Hits theaters December 25th. Peter Jackson has another hit, the World War I documentary, They Shall Not Grow Old, made an estimated $731,000 in just one night, playing on 247 screens in the UK. Jackson used modern production technology to colorize century-old black and white footage and convert it to 3D. The strong response is prompting talks of a wider release. Taylor Swift made headlines recently with a rare political statement believed to promote some thousands of people to register to vote. Now she's working to get them to the polls. On Instagram, Swift urged fans to vote early in the U.S. midterm elections, posting a link to an early voting calendar and a photo of her feet with her toenails painted in a patriotic red, white, and blue, nonpartisan red, white, and blue in Hollywood. I'm John Powers, and thanks for entertainment.
Thank you, John. Now we'll head over to Ethan for a look at the weather.
How does it look out there, Ethan?
Well, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the weather. Right here you can see the precipitation and cloud coverage that's covering all the United States. You can see that there's a good bit here in the Texas region where they're experiencing some flooding at the moment, and we could be seeing it move our way a little bit, but it may not hit us too badly. Here you can look at the temperatures. Right now you can see that these are the lows that we're experiencing, so we're kind of around the 40, maybe low 50 range, and for the highs we're kind of peaking at about 60, so we're not particularly warm, but we could be colder, I suppose. And as we look a little closer to where we are here in Ohio, as you can see, there isn't really any precipitation coming in or clouds to speak of, so at least our days will be clear and we won't have to worry about rain for the time being. And let's go ahead and take a closer look at the 5-day forecast. You can see, other than Saturday, it's going to be straight sunny, which is going to be nice and clear. Don't have to worry about clouds. Saturday, however, we will have to deal with showers, and so that'll have to be something you have to prepare for. Bring a rain jacket or something. As for the highs, it'll be 53 tomorrow for a high, or today, excuse me. Tomorrow will be 60 for the high, which will be a pretty nice day. Saturday will be 56, and then over the course of Sunday and Monday, it'll cool down again, and 47 will be the high we'll experience on Sunday, which isn't particularly warm, but maybe it'll jump back up after that. So that's what you can expect going into the weekend. Hopefully it won't get too much cooler than what it already is, but only one way to find out. We'll just have to tough it out. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Ethan. When we come back, Elizabeth will join us with an update on the world of sports.
See you in a few.
Come on, let's go.
Hey, hi, what's your name? You live around here? You're pretty. Where are you guys going? Where are you going? Where are you going?
Guess it's about time to get you fixed, sweetie.
Your pets will start getting noticed sooner than you think. Accidental litters lead to millions killed in shelters each year. Help prevent more. Fix at month 4.
Now back. Here's Elizabeth Nedved with an update in the world of sports.
What's the latest, Elizabeth?
Well, in baseball, following an investigation into 2 incidents this postseason, the MLB said that the defending World Series champions were conducting surveillance, not spying, when a credentialed Astros employee was pointing his cell phone into the visitors' dugout during playoff games in Cleveland and Boston. The Indians filed a complaint following Game 3 of the AL Division Series after the employee was observed aiming his phone into their dugout and taking pictures or video, according to a person familiar with the situation. The Red Sox had been warned ahead of the series about the Astros employee who was near Cleveland's dugout for several innings on October 8th before he was removed by security. Yankee shortstop Didi Gregorius has undergone Tommy John surgery on his right elbow that is expected to keep him out of action for much of next season. The team didn't provide a timetable for Gregorius' return to until last week when the injury was announced. General Manager Brian Cashman said Gregorius will be sidelined until sometime next summer. Gregorius broke his own club record for home runs by a shortstop, slugging 27 this year. He batted .288 with 86 RBIs overall. In boxing, Canelo Alvarez is boxing's new $365 million man. Alvarez has signed an 11-fight deal that his promotional company says is the richest athlete contract in sports history, guaranteeing the Mexican middleweight champion at least that much money to have his fights shown on the sports streaming service DAZN. Beginning with his next bout, Alvarez will move up in weight to challenge WBA super middleweight champion Rodney Fielding on December 18th at Madison Square Garden. The Detroit Red Wings have claimed winger Jacob De La Rosa off waivers from Montreal. The 23-year-old De La Rosa has an opportunity to get plenty of ice time with his Red Wings if he's cleared to play after having a cardiac episode earlier this month. He had 4 goals and a career-high 12 points in 56 games for the Canadiens last season. He has 8 goals and 19 career points in his 119 NHL games with Montreal. The Red Wings take on Tampa Bay tonight. That's all for sports. I'm Elizabeth Nedved. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Now Ethan Brown joins us one last time for a look at the weather.
Yeah, as I was alluding to, it's just going to be it's going to continue cooling down as fall's setting in, but at least for this weekend, other than a little bit of rain on Saturday, we can look forward to the sun being out. So
that's good news.
At least with the sun being out, we have we have some warm patches coming through, and it kind of negates a little bit of that cool air that we might be feeling.
All right, thank you, Ethan. Thanks for joining us for Thursday's edition of WCMO TV, Channel 15, at noon 30 and 6:30. From all of us here at the station, we wish you a great weekend.